Hey everybody, Eric Hayden here on YouTube. Cold day here in Eastern North Carolina. We're going to start to talk about pruning. I know a lot of folks are getting a lot of snow across the northeast part of the country with strong winds and heavy snow. That's what we had here a couple weeks ago, but as far as today is concerned, no snow on the ground. It is chilly. We got below freezing tonight, and then we'll be in the 20s tonight, so another night below freezing. Quick video today. I want to show you the progress in the garden. It's February 22nd, so the third week of February. Should we start thinking about pruning? What are some signs? Traditionally here in Eastern North Carolina, potentially as early as the last week of February, more than likely the first week of March. If you're watching this video, we're going to talk about some signs for pruning, but what I want you to remember is there's no need to rush it. Mother Nature is going to push the bush along sometimes, but by pruning early, you can encourage new growth that may not be ready for some of those late spring freezes. Of course, you can't always help it. Even here, we've had some late freezes into the first couple days of April. Not much you can do about that. But we're going to show you what's going on in the garden today, some things you can look for. But get up with your local Rose Society. Join a local Rose Society. They usually will give you a good time frame for when you can do it. For us, again, last week of February, first week of March, so we're starting to get there. Let me show you what's going on in the garden. So the first thing you'll notice is the absence of snow. We had our snow a couple weeks ago. That is gone. For the most part, the garden is in very good shape. I did the winter protection, I stripped the leaves. Things are looking really, really good. I will say these back three beds, I never did get around to stripping the leaves, and I've got a lot of black spot that I do need to either spray or get out of the garden before we really start to grow here, especially toward the middle part of spring. This is what our roses look like. You can see that there are some leaves that have pushed out. This is what I mean about Mother Nature is really going to control what happens. We have leaves pretty much year round. So even if I were to strip the leaves like I did in this case, whenever we have a warm spell, they start to push out a little bit. So these, will potentially still die when we get some hard freezes. Not too worried about that. What I'm looking for are these bud eyes that are starting to push out. You can see this. Let me try to get this to focus a little bit better on the Veterans Honor right there. I apologize, it's not focusing as well. But these bud eyes are starting to push out right now. So we're starting to get some, increasing activity in the garden. Things are looking good. I have not seen anything dead or obviously too bad. What I've seen mostly is the ends of canes are dying. Some of that's from pruning, where I kind of left like a little margin and it died back, or just the drying winds and the cold. We had temperatures in the teens. I'll show you an example of this. This is a newer rose, White Princess. Again, for the most part, things are looking good. Let me try to get around this side. You can see sometimes when you leave a cane, I really should take this down to this part because this is going to die back. That's died back, some combination of how I pruned it, but also the cold weather, and you can see another example of that behind there. So again, you just prune this back. I'll probably come down a little bit lower on the bush, and that should be in pretty good shape. The thing I wanted to show you is on these canes, we're starting to get these bud eyes pushing back or pushing out. That's a sign that this bush is ready to start to grow here in the next couple weeks. What I'm going to do in the next couple weeks is just take out anything thin, dead, or crossing, and then go lower on the bush to where it's a nice thick cane, at least the size of a pencil, and that's where you want to prune back to. I know there's a lot of videos out there, including on my own channel. And one thing that I have as a saving grace, some of these bud eyes, the lower you go on the bush, are still very dormant. They can take a lot of cold because they're not pushing out. So the lower you go down on the bush, the more dormant the bud eyes are. And that's kind of the protection for the rose bush from any of those late season cold snaps that can occur. So this is kind of what it looks like right now. Old adage is when the forsythias bloom, it's time to prune. We're not quite there yet. So probably another 10 days for us. And again, the whole goal is to reduce the bush overall. Spindly canes, thin canes, anything crossing you want to get rid of, and you really want to get down to thick, at least pencil length canes, and just a handful of them, because that bush is going to fill out as it grows through the season. The other thing I'm watching in particular in my garden, and I need to put down some captain that can help with this, is a fungicide, canker. This is Louise Estes. I tend to get this each spring, and every year I say I should put this out spray in January, and every year I don't. So I lose some canes sometimes, but with something like that, that's more of a disease, and then sometimes cold weather can affect it more because it is disease. But you can see the splotchy nature on that canker, and I'll just cut below all that down to where I find green. Unfortunately, if it extends all the way toward the bud union, that cane is lost. Not overly concerned with Louise Estes because I have gigantic canes on this and it's pretty big, as you can tell. But Louise Estes, at least in my yard, has been susceptible. Both of them have gotten it, and then along with Jewel Grace as well. So that's one thing you can keep in mind. Keeping a diary or journal, it's no good unless you do anything. So I'm kind of chuckling because all winter I said I need to get out here and spray, or the Captain you can put down via a trench or drench method around the root. So here's another example of some of the disease, either canker or even a black spot on the purple on the canes. But you see it's dying back here. I'm going to need to cut that out all the way down lower on that bush. The other ones are not affected as much, some a little bit over here, but certain varieties in my garden, for this would probably be the second or third year in a row, have had this canker. And in particular, it's been my two Louise Esteses and the Jewel Grace. So I'll definitely have to watch that. One that was really impacted by it last year was Crescendo. In fact, it was, I don't know if it's much canker or it's just the cold. It was black to almost the ground. It reminded me of how things were in upstate New York coming out of a winter. But this year, it's looking fantastic. This is the Crescendo bush that I only had a few inches of cane coming out of last winter. But this year, I winter protected it, learned my lesson, and it's doing much, much better in the garden. So that's just about it. You can see how the garden looks like here the third week of February. Next 10 days, I hopefully will start some pruning. And with 42 bushes, I do try to break it up, do a bed or two a day. And I did reduce the height in the fall. So I don't have as much to do, but some of these are quite tall. This is about 4 feet, about 4. This is Mr. Lincoln and Alina. So pretty big bushes coming out of the winter. They were 8 foot plus in the fall, and we trimmed them back a little bit for the winter winds. Hope everyone's doing well. For those that have snow on the ground, no, it won't last too much longer. Spring is ahead. I know it can really struggle and take a while, especially across the northeast part of the country. I'll leave you with these nice Carolina blue skies. It's chilly today, but certainly looking nice. Take care.